Good evening, everyone, and welcome to an exciting Friday the 13th evening. Well, I'm your host, Vedavati Shetty, coming to you from Pune, and absolutely honored and excited to be able to have this digital conversation with our esteemed expert on a very pertinent topic. Why health? Why now? आज बेसिक इश्यूज पे फोकस करेंगे कि जिसके वजह से हम इतने सारे लाइफस्टाइल डिसऑर्डर्स देख रहे हैं। हेल्थ पैसे की तरह है, राइट? जब तक खत्म नहीं होता या छूट नहीं जाती है तब तक उसकी वैल्यू नहीं समझ में आती है, राइट? 27% ऑफ डेथ्स इन इंडिया आर ड्यू टू हार्ट प्रॉब्लम्स। 4 में से 1 को डायबिटीज है। हम दुनिया के डायबिटीज कैपिटल है। 4 out of 10 people are obese and पता नहीं क्या क्या क्या। It is scary. Hence, the need of the hour, basic awareness through sessions like these, like what we are having tonight, and taking the actions, of course. Tonight, we will be talking to someone who has valued his health proactively and deliberately to the extent so as to have 40 illustrious years of national and international sporting career. Was it discipline, practice, diet, nutrition, exercise? Kya tha? How did he ensure, that he is not falling prey to lifestyle disorders? We will be talking to our esteemed coach and mentor, Farokh Tarapore. He is an ex-naval officer, a double world champion in the sport of sailing. He has represented India in 3 Olympics and 8 Asian Games, winning multiple medals, gold, silver, bronze, you name it, for India. He is the recipient of the Arjuna Award and Chhatrapati Shivaji Award, amongst many others. Please switch on your videos and with a thundering applause, help me welcome Farokh Tarapore on the virtual stage with me. Hi, Farokh. Good evening. And thank you for taking your time out, to speak to us. Okay, Farokh, since I've said, so much, before we actually go to the lifestyle disorders, what I wanted to know, through your experience and across your, career especially in the last 10 years as well, you've been coaching so many of us, mentoring so many of us on the health front. You designed this program, Nutrilite Live 360, best of health and best of fitness, with a purpose. Har ghar tandurust, har ghar medicine free. What is the thought process behind this objective? And, from your experience, what aspects are embedded into this program?
Thank you, Veda, and good evening, everyone. I think a part of this question you already answered in your introduction, that it is a need of the hour, right? What has happened in the last 10 years is rather, very, very frightful. I don't think that the technological advancement that this world has seen in the last 10 years, okay, is, is so, in fact, it is so big that it is greater than the previous century, I would say. Okay, so coming to your question, I mean, the first reason is that is of nutrition. Okay, over the years, what I've noticed is that the quality of food, the nutrition in the food has deteriorated. People are eating more calories and people are eating less nutrition, right? Just because food is now easily available, packaged food is more available, okay? And to make matters worse, people have not understood the principles of circadian rhythm. People have not understood that there is, I've always on this program insisted that there is nothing like a healthy snack. Snacking per se is going to damage your health. I've given lots of explanations and I've, shown people scientifically that snacking is basically, not good for your health. Unless you're doing it for a special purpose, like you got to You need a lot of energy all of a sudden for a sporting event, and then you're eating it. That's a different story. But generally, just people lying in the house, sitting on the couch, watching something on the television, and doing mindless sitting. At least I find it very easy to do it. Okay. If I'm not deliberate about it, it is quite easy. There is a packet of peanuts over there, there's a packet of wafers. You will munch them without application of mind. So this whole thing about nutrition and calories, the ratio has gone lopsided. First, there was less calories and more nutrition in that. Now we have got more calories and less nutrition. That has resulted, like if you go to a school now, you don't see skinny children anymore. Okay. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, everybody was skinny in school. It's as simple as that, People just didn't have enough to eat, right? But whatever they ate, at least it was high in nutrition because food was not still that badly genetically modified. Okay. Processed food was not that much available. Refined food was not that much available. Today you have refined, super refined food. Packaging. Okay. On this platform, we have again and again, mentioned that anything that is basically available in a package, cannot be, good for health, unless you are going for a track or something and you're using that, for a special purpose. But it cannot be the only source and the whole source. The second reason is convenience. Convenience is so overrated, You say, it's so easy to order from Zomato. Yes, it is easy. Okay. It is so easy to order from from the nearby canteen. It is so easy to order food from any online platforms. But how can you monitor the quality of that food? The biggest problem I have with that kind of ordering is the medium of oil consumed in that. Okay. That can be so damaging. And, it's like, it's okay. I mean, I'm okay if those are exceptions. But because the exception becomes so convenient, people make it as a way of life. Okay. Every day or every second day, or every third. According to me, once a fortnight is bad enough. Once a month is okay. But I can assure you that 90% of the people on this platform would be ordering online once every alternate day, at least for some meal or the other, or for something or the other. And that's just extremely scary. And the third thing is, because of the development, the IT development, people have started to work more on computers. I done some research on this subject, that the part of the brain that reads is different from the part of the brain that writes. And at least when I went to school, anything that I remembered was, when we sat in the class and if we had a good teacher, we had great grades because we used to write down what the teacher said. And that got your brain, both the parts of your brain, to work. Nowadays, people are just not doing that. We got computers doing half the work for you. I used to remember all numbers of all my friends, everything, Today, I find it difficult to remember my own number, right? And that's because of the advancement in technology, and we can't do anything about it. We have to live, we have to accept it. Now, because of that, life has become extremely sedentary. I often joke that time is not far away. You see nowadays TVs, they got two remotes and some things here and there. And I mean, I often joke, that soon there'll be a time when there'll be a remote to get the remote also. So uh, things are becoming extremely convenient. With that, people are obviously not moving. So sedentary lifestyle is increasing, because of technology. And unless you're going to be really deliberate, see, earlier people had to move to survive. Now people really don't have to move. I mean, even without a guy getting into a wheelchair, just think about it, he's already in the wheelchair. You sit in the house the whole day on a chair. You get out of the chair, you get into the car chair. From the car chair, you get into somebody else's chair. So you're already, semi on the chair. Now, if that is the case, now if you're not going to be deliberate, if people are not going to be talking to you about it, and you got to be seriously super deliberate now, ever than before. 50 years ago, this talk would be meaningless because most people walk 10 kilometers a day by default. Okay. Some people didn't have money, so they couldn't afford transportation. They couldn't afford a bus or something. So they just went, walk. I remember I went to school, which was like more than a couple of kilometers from my house. And I used to go walk. So it was normal. But now you look at a school. At the time when the school starts, there's traffic jam over there. Because every kid comes in a car. Forget not even a school bus. School bus ke liye at least thoda sa bhi karna padega, go to the end of the lane or something. Even that is now cut off. So imagine with this kind of a lifestyle, okay, you have got to be deliberate, and there's got to be somebody who's got to be talking about it over and over again. Like, on this platform, we have said that, okay, if you're in the office, you need to, get up every half an hour, and that is why we have designed so many exercises that you can do in the office. You don't need to So instead of making excuses that, I cannot do it, try and be innovative in doing exercises deliberately through your schedule. If you're not going to do that, there is a price to pay. Okay. It has its own consequences. All right. You will start suddenly losing balance. When I was, for those years that I competed for the country, the exercise regime was really, really strong. On the boat, you like really moving and doing things. So it didn't matter whether you really did much or you didn't do much. In the earlier days, the routine was simple. Get up in the morning, go hit the gym straight. After the gym, breakfast. After breakfast, training. Back to, lunch, training, evening, have your dinner, go to sleep. You're too tired. Wake up in the morning again and follow that same. So but every time I came across a crossroad and I stopped, I found that I was really deteriorating. Okay, and deteriorating fast. So that if you are, if you had a hectic lifestyle and you suddenly stop, people say, take it easy. Yeah. I went through some of those. 40 years is a long period of time. I went through those phases where doctors said, take it easy. How many times has a doctor competed in an Olympics or Asian Games? Yeah. It is contradictory, the two words. You can't take it easy. You are either you're fully intense into the competition, all out. Okay. You can't say, "Main thoda thoda karunga," yeah. So either you're in it fully or you're fully out. Okay. There's no in between. So it was easy, But every time I stopped, I had to be really deliberate to, increase the exercise level. Of course, proportionately as per your age. Like if you are in your 60s or something, don't run and all that. Unless you're really special. Okay. But it has to be proportionate. It has to be balanced. Okay. Because if you don't do that, then the lifestyle challenges are going to catch up with you much faster. Okay. Which we are already seeing. What people were facing in the 70s and the 80s, soon started, being seen by people in the 50s and 60s. Then it went to the 40s. Now we are seeing it's going into the 30s also, right? So this is something. So, these are this. And the final thing, which are, in my opinion, why we started this whole program is that the advancement in medical science is just unbelievable. Okay, it's an extremely good thing that science is making so much of progress, but it is a double-edged sword. People don't realize that the third largest reason, for people dying after cardiac problems and cancer is medication. This is big information. Okay. And yet, it's like a little bit of like a drug, Hey, I've got a headache. Why should I face the headache? I know for sure that if you got a headache and you go for a run, it will become less. Okay. Or if you take some omega-3, it will become less. But there's no need to take a painkiller for that. Am I telling you not to, this medication is bad? No, don't get me wrong. But you must keep medication. Okay, the whole principle should be that lifestyle problems, it's like common sense suggests that it should be tackled by lifestyle changes, not by medication. But what happens nowadays? Okay, if there's a problem, there is so much of over dependency on medication that you say, oh, medicine will sort me right. And people have grown up hearing this way, okay, you're not well, go to a doctor, he'll give you some medicine and you'll become all right. Instead, don't you think that it should be the other way around? That if there's a lifestyle problem, make lifestyle changes, monitor, see your progress. And if then you don't succeed, then take the help of chemicals. Because the chemicals, there's a price to be paid over there. There is a price. Everything that you consume from a chemist store, there is a price to be paid in the long run. It doesn't happen today. I mean, you take a painkiller today, you're not going to die tomorrow. Okay. But if you do this, because what happens is, it is not that the first painkiller that you pop, it sets a habit. And the habit soon becomes an addiction. And that addiction then gradually starts to eat into it. If we don't, give out this kind of information to the next generation, okay, and you don't make them aware, but they're going to, obviously, at the end of the day, they are going to make their own choices, right? But at least let them make the choices after they are better informed, okay, rather than making choices by just looking at Google. I got nothing against Google. There's a lot of information on Google, but there's a lot of intelligence required between differentiating, fact from fiction on Google, because anybody can put up anything on Google. You probably say the same thing 10, 20 times, it will come on Google that's the right thing, So everything over there is not true, and not necessarily the whole truth. There are half-truths over there. Okay. So we know from experience that if you give the body at the end of the day, if you give the body the right amount of nutrition and the right amount of exercise, you would have found the safest way to health. Right? Not too much and not too little. These are very, very important words. Don't run a marathon when you're not ready. Okay. But at the same time, a leisurely walk in the park is not an exercise. Now, I see a lot of people when I go walking, today morning I met somebody. He says that, are you a doctor? I said, no, I'm not a doctor, but I help people. No, I'm so and so, and I have so many doctors who need help. And that was like, shocking to me. He was into Mediclaim and that kind of stuff. He says they don't know, what is to be done. They all trapped in that in their own thing, and I mean, it's not uncommon today. I mean, you look at the health of the doctors today. That's really not something to be proud of. In India, uh, in my opinion, it is we are facing the biggest pandemic of our lives. Correct. We have got a population of more than 1.4 billion people. Most people don't really understand how big this figure is. And at least, very safely, one can say that 1 billion people need this kind of a program. Okay. 5%, it's 5% are just about okay. Okay. 12% are really sick. Okay. So they are like, almost pretty close to beyond repair. So this whole program is for that 87%. Okay. Who don't know that they are not okay. They think they are okay, but they're not okay. Have you heard? अरे कुछ नहीं था. Suddenly, very sugar level became high. अरे ऐसे थोड़ी होता है. Okay, it's been bloody catching up with you over a period of time. Suddenly, oh, I had a blockage. I mean, it's very sad. I mean, if you ever sit in a hospital, where these doctors are coming out and talking to the patients that there's a blockage of 90% over here, a blockage of 100%. What do you want me to do? You want me to do a bypass? You want me to put stents? And the poor bloody, I mean, people, the families, looking absolutely like shocked. They say, oh, doctor, whatever you say, kind of thing. So I was once, sleeping in the ICU, and I heard this family talking that we have a daily roster for the ICU. 27 family members, there's somebody or the other having either a bypass or a stent being put here. So if this is the state of our country, I mean, don't you think that there is an urgent need for more and more people to talk about making genuine lifestyle changes? Because it doesn't matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter how powerful you are, it doesn't matter what status you have in the society. You have only one body God has given you, and you got to look after it, because your health is your biggest asset. Because without health, you are absolutely nothing. And that was the real turning point in starting a program like this, where you say, okay, we have got, a pretty good idea as to how to fix these two factors. The nutrition angle, we'll talk about that a little later, and the exercise part. And we have to be more deliberate than ever before, because if we don't do that, there is a price to be paid. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah,
Why
it does. Yeah.
Why is it so critical now than what it was ever before?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, some of the facts that you said are a little scary, especially the advancement in medical science and medicines being the third largest cause. But so far, just summarizing, all of these lifestyle diseases जो हम बात कर रहे हैं, like heart की वजह से, heart problems, cancer, diabetes, all of these. So what I understood and summarized is the major cause of this is, not having the right nutrition, fast-paced life, sedentary life, and of course, falling prey to medicines also. But then
Not
how?
having not having the food with discipline
No,
and at the right time and just snacking. I mean, snacking, in my opinion, is also an extremely, and I often said that the only way you are not going to snack is if you don't have snack around.
yes, yes.
Okay.
But then,
Otherwise, you
yeah.
will, because I've tried it. If there's a snack, I just open it and eat it. But if it's not there, then it's okay. So let's stay away from the evil. Yeah.
Right, right. Very tempting to have. But then how does our program actually help then, to tackle all of this? Can we actually control this?
Yeah,
Can
because
we reverse?
you see, first to not snack, you should know that what are the dangers of snack. And that is what the program, talks about all the time. And it doesn't, I mean, you cannot come on one online session and learn everything. Yeah. Okay. In fact, I like what this thing Commander Vadera keeps saying on this platform, that I have to keep listening to it over and over again. And imagine, like, a guy at 74, close to 75, had his health was in serious trouble. He had been to several surgeries and gone in and out, and he used to keep making jokes that I've gone to the moon now and come back. I've gone to Mars now and come back. Okay. So from there, okay, and being totally dependent on medication after, two stents being put in and, all the statins being given to him. And once he got onto our program, and he really, I mean, he was one guy, I couldn't believe that how seriously he took the program, isn't it? And he would come for every online session. And today is totally medicine free, not a single medicine for the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. And all his reports are better than before, and he's somebody who monitors every 3 months. Every 3 months I check his reports, and I'm amazed. All his lipid profiles are in order, not a single medication, nothing, no problem. Energy levels are high. Serving officer always ask him कि आप किस चक्की का आटा खाते हो, and then he tells them, no, I take advice from Farokh, and sort of, he takes his protein and, the fiber, and really tries and gets fruits from organic sources, tries and, follows, doesn't snack in between. Okay. Now he's sitting in Ludhiana just now, and he's having a massive fight over there with the family members because they are like forcing him, and he has to say, okay, if I eat this, then I won't eat this. If I eat this, I won't eat this. So he's sort of really spreading the message over there. I know that he's not going to succeed, but nevertheless, he's still making a good try over there. So when people are convinced and people see the results that change on themselves and they see that the energies are high, at the end of the day, I truly believe that the health of a person is seen from the energy levels here. Okay. I've never seen a sick person having high energy levels. Somebody has blockages, he won't have high energy levels. Okay. Somebody, suffering from cancer won't have. Somebody from diabetes will not have high energy levels. But I mean, looking at his energy levels is just amazing, that at 74, if you can have that kind of energy level. Okay. And he tells me that he hasn't even followed, 50% of the program. Okay. So you can imagine if you were to really follow 100%, what difference, it would have on your overall health.
Yeah. So definitely, I can also vouch for that. Even by following 10%, it'll make a huge difference and then, change it.
Yeah.
In fact, thanks so much for that, Farokh. In fact, when you talked about energy, I was going to come, to specific issues that mostly what I am seeing, in my, just to give the rest a little bit of a background, I come from an IT background. I see a question on the chat also is digestive problem, system problem like piles, etc., lifestyle disease. Yes, absolutely. And I'm telling you that because I myself had piles and fissures because we sit it's the, non-movement, sitting, a lot of things, whatever we eat, etc. And it will get answered through the questions as well. So, Farokh, I need some guidance on a few specific lifestyle disorders that we're seeing a lot nowadays, especially what you said, feeling of low energy, lethargy. It could be, I don't know, is it because of hormonal imbalances, probably thyroid issues, etc.? What are the three things that one can do probably to get better energy levels or, lesser mood fluctuations?
Even if there is a single nutrient deficiency, you may feel fatigue. Okay. And that is why it's extremely important to bridge the nutritional gap. The food that you're eating gives you a certain nutritional value. Okay. Your body actually, depending upon what you're doing, needs a certain amount of nutrition. Now, when there is a gap over there, okay, if that gap is not filled by good quality supplementation, right, you will feel fatigue. Also, the other reasons for feeling fatigue is that there are some challenges, like fatty liver, digestive problems. Now, for that, our program is so excellently designed. We talk about morning nutrition, that eat your breakfast like a king, eat your lunch like a prince, and eat your dinner like a pauper. Make sure you finish your dinner at 6:30. Today also, I was talking to somebody, that why are you, why can't you shift your dinner to 6:30? So far, not a single person has been able to give me an excuse that why they cannot shift. Because I can always offer them a solution. Right? So it is just in the mind. See, people don't realize, okay, how much of negative effect it has. Because when you really go deep into it, I mean, of course, today is not the day to talk about all that. When you do this whole study about lysosomes and, things like that, okay, how your body works, you're doing your body a big disservice if you're eating late at night, going to sleep, waking up in the morning, and, keeping that gap really short. Lysosomes are meant to remove all your rubbish. Now, if you're going to feed lysosomes with caramel custard at night, what the lysosomes eat your rubbish? Yeah, they'll eat the caramel custard. They say, wow, ye to maja hai, yaar. How? Have one more. So these are simple things. 3 solid meals. I had so many questions on this. Oh, I feel hungry. Can I snack this? Can I do this? Can I do that? Answer is no. As simple as that. Have a good breakfast, really good breakfast, which should contain simple, minimum 50% of your calorie intake for the whole day. Should contain minimum 50% of the protein requirement. And that's it. And if you're feeling hungry between breakfast and lunch, means you haven't eaten enough breakfast. It's as simple as that. Eat more breakfast here. Eat one more egg over there. Eat 2 eggs. So it's a simple things. And at the end of the day, all these problems stem from eating the wrong food, wrong fats. Okay. I mean, fatty liver, that's why it's called fatty liver. Yeah. You're eating wrong fat. Okay. Make sure that you're eating the right food at the right time. Okay. Make sure you're hydrating well. This is extremely important. The best time to hydrate is between meals. The more water you drink in between meals is good. Let's say you ate your breakfast at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, had your lunch at 1 o'clock. The maximum quantity of water you should be having should be between 10 and 11. Okay. Sip the water throughout the day also, gradually. Okay. Hydration is extremely important. And make sure, I've said this over and over again, repeatedly on this platform, there is nothing worse than having a late night dinner and going to sleep. There's nothing worse than, ordering from Zomato at 2 o'clock in the morning. There's nothing worse than ordering bread and omelette at 3 o'clock in the morning and eating it. Oh, I was feeling hungry. I'm feeling, no, what is the word people use? I'm feeling snacky. There's something. I feel like I can't,
So,
whatever it is, you know. But these are all bad words. Okay, they got to be eliminated from your vocabulary. If you keep feeding your brain that you are hungry, you will feel hungry. Okay. Even for that, on this platform, we have given enough solutions. If you feel hungry, first is you're not hungry, you're thirsty. Drink water. All right. Drink coconut water. Drink, protein powder. We've given all the solutions. All the solutions are there. Okay. The more you adopt the solutions, the better for your overall health. The lesser you apply them, there's a price to be paid. As simple as that.
you did allude to fatty liver also. In fact, that was going to be my next one because a lot of people earlier we used to only hear, alcoholics, getting liver issues. Now it's teetotalers, vegetarians also. So,
Have you have you noticed? I mean, Gujarat in our country is a vegetarian state. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
You know how many people in Gujarat suffer over there from these problems? It is obviously because they are consuming a lot of wrong fats. Okay. There are so many people that I've been hearing nowadays, gallbladder removed. Well, once your gallbladder is removed, what is the whole purpose of the gallbladder? Is to store the bile and secrete it when you have extraordinary fat that you are consuming. So ultimately, the gallbladder gives up if it's like repeatedly, if you're putting in rubbish and the gallbladder is made to work repeatedly, sort of, I give up. Finally, it has to be removed. Once you're removed, once the gallbladder is removed, then you got to be even more careful because you lost the power of eating rubbish fats.
So, a little different. You answered a few. I'm hearing again more on metabolic imbalances or hormonal imbalances. Are they connected? And again, is it the same causes or is that something different?
See, there is a difference between hormonal imbalance and metabolic imbalance. All right, there is a difference. But that is not important. The important thing is that for both these issues, the solution is the same. Okay, I'll give you a very simple example. Uh, with this hormonal imbalance, right? Okay, it is 100% predictable that you will go through. Everybody has to go through those hormonal imbalances. Yeah. All right. There are changes at different stages of your life. And you cannot do anything about it. Even though in sports, I've noticed that since nowadays, most sports are becoming gender neutral and more girls are participating in sports. Okay. There's some girls, they just have no problem. And I was trying to compare the ones which had problems and the ones which not had problems with hormonal imbalances. And the difference was very simple. The ones that didn't have problems were the ones which were, taking this whole subject about making sure that the nutrition and the exercise levels, okay, were at the right level as compared to the ones that were having problems. So I'm talking at a very high level. So don't you think that if you talk about it they compete? I mean, when they have hormonal imbalance and they win with those same hormonal imbalances. And there are others who will just go to sleep saying, oh, I have a problem. So, as I said, that there is a difference. Okay. But the main issue is that for both, the formula is the same, right? Make sure you're having the right nutrition, make sure you're having it at the right time, make sure you're hydrating well, and make sure you're exercising well. The more you exercise and the tougher you are, the tougher is your ability to deal with the hormonal challenges. So, I mean, let's put it in numbers. Let us say somebody, has a hormonal on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being really low difference and 10 being really high. Suppose somebody is having a hormonal imbalance at this level of 4, but they are so tough, and the exercise regime is so tough, and the mental state is so tough that that level is at 5 or more, the effect will be minimal. But if somebody's, hormonal balance is at even 3, but they are at 2, then they're going to face a. So everything depends upon, the right amount of nutrition and the right amount of exercise, not too much and not too little. Okay. It helps you to cope up with this. One thing is certain, that you will have hormonal imbalances, but that does not mean that you got to go for hormonal therapy. Okay. Because when I look into those therapies, each of these therapies, have its own side problems. So when people look for convenience, they forget this major aspect. Okay. That, okay, this is a temporary gain for a long-term loss. Whereas this is a temporary, a little bit of hardship for a long-term gain. It is obvious, everybody is going to say that the second choice is a lot better. But how many take the second choice today? 50 years ago, 70 years ago, they didn't have a choice. They had to take the second choice. Okay. Now they have a choice. So if they're educated well, they would probably make a better choice for themselves.
Right. Yeah.
If it
So
doesn't,
very well said, yeah. It's convenience that we run for, right? Whatever is easiest, I don't want to exercise, and I think I definitely came from that mindset. Still a lot to learn. Farokh, you spoke so much about
convenience
nutrition.
is
Yes,
overrated, in my
yes,
opinion. Okay.
yes, it
Convenience
is.
is totally overrated. All right. I do silly things to become inconvenient. In fact, when I study successful people, they are comfortable being inconvenient. They are comfortable being uncomfortable. And that has really struck in my mind. I do really stupid things, like I'll put the dustbin on the top of the kitchen top so that I got to take the leg up to open the dustbin every single time. I stand on one leg every alternate day when I'm brushing my teeth, taking a bath. Okay. Every time I go and go to a toilet or I drink water, I do the blood circulation exercises. Okay. I do silly things. Okay. Stupid things, which are extremely uncomfortable. But that is done so that I have a comfortable, longer life and a healthier life, And I'm really scared when people don't understand the difference between health span and lifespan. Okay. In fact, there's one thing which I really want to mention over here since I came to these words, that when I've studied the blue zones, okay, it's very interesting to study, The first thing that comes to my mind is, what is it that they are doing that there are people living more than 100 years over there? And this factor came out loud and clear. It didn't matter whether it was, Sardinia in Italy or Icaria in Greece or Okinawa in Japan or, or in Costa Rica or in the US. Okay. One thing that came out common between all these 5 blue zones is that the level of nutrition, the right level of nutrition and the right level of exercise, they were getting by default. See, this is the catchword over here is by default. Okay. They were not really doing it. They were getting it by default. Like Sardinia has got all these little slopes. So they were like, oh, go to the market, walking, come back on the slope. Oh, that's a pretty good example. But one of the things that shocked me most that was that none of these blue zones have hospitals nearby.
Wow.
And that really shocked me. You know, that our people not really understanding the difference between health span and lifespan. Medicine is capable of increasing your lifespan, but not necessarily your health span. Sorry, I interrupted you. You were
No,
asking.
no, no. I think this you covered a very like the main crux of our program has come from the research of blue zones. So yeah, for you have alluded to this time and again in terms of nutrition, right? Of course, you've talked about exercise, but one thing about nutrition is the nutritional gap in the food we eat. And अभी शायद लोगों को समझ में आ रहा है, लेकिन there is still a lot of hesitation कि supplements नहीं लेना है, किस तरह के supplements etc. Can you please delve a little bit and then we'll take some questions, please.
There is a lot of misinformation on supplements. Okay. The only supplement that I would really recommend. Okay, I'll start it off. I'll start off in a different way. Okay. If you were living on your own organic farm and getting all the right nutrition in your body, okay, you don't need supplements. Guaranteed. Absolutely true. Okay. But we do not have the luxury today. Most of us do not have that luxury. And because we don't have the luxury, we need to find a way to bridge that supplementation gap. I mentioned earlier that the food that you eat gives you a certain level of nutrition. Your body needs a certain amount of nutrition. And if there is a gap, you're going to feel tired. Okay. You're going to feel low on energy. To bridge this gap, you need high quality supplementation. Now, there are different kinds of supplementations available in the market. And the reason why we have selected Nutralite is because A, it's organic, all right? There are no chemicals involved over there, okay? And it's sort of, you getting something like somebody that they asked me that, how long should I keep taking this protein powder? And my answer was very simple. How long do you think you need to eat eggs? Right? So this is where you got to understand that why we selected Neutralite. And I always give this example that since I was in sports and there's an agency called WADA, World Anti-Doping Agency. I've been tested several times by them. Okay. And there is nothing that has come out, which was, the list today is unbelievable. It's like really a huge volume of the banned and there is not only a list of banned items, but nowadays there's also a list of restricted items, which have also become very big. So there's hardly anything in the entire Nutralite range of products, okay, which is in the banned item, and at extreme small levels in the restricted item. To give you a simple example, like 20 years ago, you were allowed like equivalent of 12 cups of coffee in sports. Today, that has got reduced to 1 to 2 cups of coffee.
Oh.
All right. So that caffeine content comes in that restricted level. And that is, that's the power of this stuff, that whatever is written on the bottle, okay, suppose it says, you can take 4 tablets. Okay, you can take 10x quite safely. And since I have taken those, supplements in huge quantities, as I grew older, I needed, more energy, I needed more support. And I found that, wow, here is something, this is absolutely clean. Okay, right? I know it's not harming the body. And Nutralite, goes a little extra. They ensure that even whatever the coating, like if you take the multivitamin of of Nutralite. Even the coating is made from natural materials, so that there's no residue left. People talk about people who are on dialysis and all, and we found that even if you're on dialysis, you cannot forget the basic. The protein is the basic. Doctor says you cannot take protein. No, no protein. No, 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 no. You're trying to save the kidney. You're killing the whole person, right? And the reason why you can take, even if you're under dialysis and you can take protein, it's because we got a PDCA score of 1. Okay, there is no residue really left. So whatever protein you're taking is absorbed and consumed by the body. Otherwise, you're going to keep having protein deficiency, over days, over weeks, stretched to months to a year, years and decades. And ultimately, you might survive without that kidney, but you will die because of protein deficiency. So that is the reason why we have, taken this Nutralite so seriously, because 90 years, it was started in fact, 19, it's now 91 years. Okay. Nutralite was started in 1934. We are into 2025 now. Right. I've often, conveyed this message that you can fool some people all the time, you can fool all people some of the time, but you can't fool all people all the time. You can't be fooling people, for the last 94 years and be still the number one, distributor of organic supplements. Okay. There is nothing, I can assure you, that comes close to Nutralite here. Right. Well, it is such a safe haven for people who are not living on organic farms, that it's no longer a luxury. It's a necessity that you have got to reach this nutritional gap. Well, no amount of food that you take today will cater for the entire nutritional requirement of your body.
Thank you. Thanks, Farokh, for that. Well, I'm done with my set of questions, but we do have a couple of questions on the chat, which I will take quickly. Farokh, one was for piles, since that is also a lifestyle disease and all. What are your recommendations on Nutralite and exercises, if any?
Basically, if your the balance between your good bacteria and bad bacteria is correct, okay, and you are eating the right kind of food, okay, you're eating the right amount of fiber, you will not have a digestive problem, or you won't have a piles problem. And our program is so well designed that I actually look at the food on my plate and I ask myself that, is this food going to increase my good bacteria or bad bacteria? Okay. First is to have the right knowledge. That is why we keep saying that if you keep on putting your plates, on the group chat, we can advise you correctly. Okay. If you don't, then you're risking eating the wrong stuff. So it is very simple. If the food is going to increase my good bacteria, I should eat it. If it's going to increase my bad bacteria, I should not eat it, or at least limit it. Okay. So, you'll have no problems. You'll have no digestive problems. You will have no lifestyle disease problems like piles and all. You won't have that, right? Because I found that even people involved in sports have that. Okay, when they do crazy things like eat too much of white bread, right? They get constipation, and then they have piles, and then they have to miss an event, and then they have surgery. Oh, it becomes a huge mess. So they lack fiber, and if your fiber in their food is at the right level, and if you're not doing stupid things like eating white bread and things like that, you will ensure that you will never have this lifestyle problem. This is an easy problem to actually solve. Okay. Provided you have the sufficient knowledge.
Right. So, Pankaj, I hope that answers. Come on the program, come on the community, share your plates, and if it's for someone else, invite that person onto the community, have them share their plates, have them, discuss and understand how much fiber to take, what, even through food and supplementation, a lot of things are there. Prebiotics are there, probiotics are there. Well, Farokh, there's one more question that came to me on one-on-one. There's a female who has had very low hemoglobin levels of around 7 since childhood, currently at age of 36. Can that be improved?
Sorry, hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin level is around 7 since young age.
It's one of the easiest problem to solve. Okay. Just the Neutralite cherry iron is such an amazing product because I've seen through its development stages. Right from the initial days, that is about 20 years ago, okay, to today, it has developed to the extent that today's one cherry iron tablet is equivalent to the 9 of those that were initially started with. So if you got a problem like 7, start with 2 cherry irons. All right. But make sure that you're not consuming iron along with calcium. Because there's an interference over there. So whenever you are consuming calcium in quantities in excess of 500 mg, it starts to interfere with the absorption of iron. So make sure that you space it out. So if you're taking calcium and iron, make sure that either you're taking calcium in the morning and at night, or then take the iron during the daytime. But 7, no problems. Start with 2 cherry iron, and this problem will get resolved in a couple of months. Anything between 4 to 6 months, this problem will get gradually. You will see gradually, if you're monitoring along with it, you will find that I've seen levels come up from 7 to 13 in short periods of time. But it has to be done properly, and it has to be done with the right, make sure that you're not taking calcium at that time because of interference. That is why Neutralite is so smart that when they made the multivitamin, where it has got calcium and iron, there's only 250 mg of calcium in it, and there's a small quantity of iron. They're very, very clever over there, because when I was in US and I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Sam Rambo, this was the question I asked him, and this was his answer.
Thank you so much, Farokh. And I think, thanks. I don't see any more questions. Folks, you've been a great audience, yes, but you definitely need to switch on your videos and give Farokh a big hand for his patient, answers, the whole description, the whole inputs, on various topics. So, folks, if you want to get better, Padma, you have a question?
Yeah.
Please
Is
go ahead.
adding, fruit salt when you're making dokla or something like that, is it okay?
I didn't
Heard
get
it?
it. I didn't
Yeah,
get
so
the question.
Farokh, what
When you
Padma
make
is asking?
a instant dokla, right? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
I
can
can.
hear you. Go ahead.
When you make instant dokla, they add fruit salt to the batter. Is that safe?
Well, we have often, talked about this subject on the group, that stay away from all these instant things. We just talked about stay away from convenience.
No, it is made at home. Then
Yeah, if it's made at home, it's great.
okay.
That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Padma. Well, folks, the best way to learn and keep yourself aware is get onto the program. Ask the person who has invited you, if this is the first session you've attended, ask the person who's invited you today, how can you join this program? We do have a community on WhatsApp. Be part of the group. First, discuss, understand what your goals are, set your goals, share it with Farokh, with your health buddy, share your plates, and even share what exercises you're doing, any supplementation that you're taking. If not, you can always ask what you can take, and attend our Monday and Friday 9 p.m. We have kept it fixed 9 p.m. sessions because Farokh said this very beautifully the last time. What is missing is awareness. If you're aware, and even if you're not doing things, when you face that problem, you know exactly why you ended up in that problem. So attend these sessions. And even just what Farokh said about Commander Vadera, I face the same thing. I've attended these sessions every Monday, Friday, and yet in the next session, I learn something new. So see you on Monday. And Farokh, gratitude. Thank you for the patience and for always being there to mentor each one of us and repeating patiently, in spite of us not hearing things, because, that's how we learn. So thank you so much. Have a great night. I will go back to checking my rain and water seepage. That's it from us. Good night. God bless.